Hey guys, welcome back to another day and again more Transformers goodness here. I am so happy to finally have Ultra Magnus here from the Studio Series from the 86 Transformers movie. This looks to be number 21, but as you guys can see, there he is. Pretty decent sized box, kind of like Siege of Jetfire. If you have that figure, that box was pretty big too. But man, love the artwork here. Again, being a huge fan of the Moby and G1 specifically, I kind of feel like I'm in a golden age here of Transformers, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. I got this via Hasbro Pulse. So I was quite surprised when I got an email earlier in the week that they were like, hey, this is ready to be shipped. Here it is in my door about 3 days after I got the email. So very, very awesome that this came in. So here's the box itself. Ultra Magnus here on the side. Really cool. Here, let me show you the top. It's got the shuttle from the movie here. Here we got Ultra Magnus in his action pose. And right here on the back, of course, the product shots. Robot mode, looking all glorious. They show you how you have the playability. We're removing the matrix. We've got the whole vehicle mode with looks like you get some effects, some fire effects, and of course you get a background, a backdrop for this guy. And the cool thing is that if you look at the back of the box here, in vehicle mode, you can fit perhaps your deluxe size Autobots in the trailer. So that's really awesome. Look, first hands look from what I've seen online, and also looking at the back of the box. This looks pretty much just like the Masterpiece toy, just scaled down, obviously, but that's a good thing, right? I do have the Kingdom Ultra Magnus. I got that because at that point, I did not think we were going to get another Ultra Magnus. So I was like, hey, let me get that one. I did not get the Siege Ultra Magnus because I wasn't too happy with it. And Kingdom, I thought, okay, this is it. We're not getting another one. So I was so happy when this was announced. And what we got just looks totally, totally awesome. Anyway, I'm going to open this up and give you guys a look. All right, guys. So I finally got Ultra Magnus here out of his box there. And I got to say, I'm pretty impressed with this guy. The word masterpiece to me comes to mind. So he's heftily built. A lot of the transformation is actually very similar to that masterpiece Ultra Magnus, or at least some sections are, if you're familiar with that. And he's just really well put together. He tabs in, everything tabs into place. There are ratchets in all the right places. He's not fiddly anywhere, at least my copy is not. But before we move on, just want to show you what all you get in the box. Obviously, you get your instructions, which I would recommend for this guy transformation-wise. You kind of do refer to. I did find some tricky parts pretty much once you got into the knee section for me. But I would recommend you do once over, rather than trying to figure out what yourself, which sometimes is actually the fun part, right? Trying to figure out how this guy becomes a truck or whatever it may be. But instructions, I'll read those in this case. You also do get weapons. With this guy, you get two sets of weapons. You get this smaller gun here. Let me put the other one down. This, I guess, light purple color. It's got a bit of a metallic look. You see the clear tip there, but the detailing is really, really nice. Again, well done. And here's the peg for the handle so you can use his weapon. The other one being this huge, it's pretty thick. It's a thick gun, pretty big, against some really nice detailing, the clear tip. And again, you see here this clear tab. The reason for these clear tabs on both of these weapons is because this guy can have these weapons tabbed in to the back sections here and here. So if you wanted to store this weapon here, you can go back here in the back and tab it in. Same thing with this one. You can tab that in here, and then he's holding his weapons. Obviously the gun's kind of sticking out here on the side from the front. I won't be storing my weapons like that, but hey, it's an option, and that's cool that they give you that option. Other things, and to go along actually with the guns and other parts, with the shoulder cannons, are all these effects. I got 7 of them in total on my end. Hopefully I got them all out of the box. I think now since Hasbro is starting to, I guess, get away from plastic packaging. A lot of their stuff has been wrapped in this like thin tissue paper material, right? So I'm hoping I got all of my effects off of that tissue paper. So I would recommend you double check yours, but you get a lot of these different effects with some gray painted, again, to show explosions or whatever it may be. And you can combine these anyway. They show you the instructions of different ways that you can combine them, but I mean, you can do sort of whatever feels best for you, right? As long as they kind of fit in place. And the cool thing is, obviously, with the clear tips on the guns, you can do that. So you can sort of stick that in there. You could also, if you wanted to sort of take this missile launcher out and maybe try to do that if you wanted to, kind of like it's shooting some fire out of there. So that's really cool. But it's nice, right? If you are the type to want to set up some play scenes and need explosions and effects. Omega Supreme came with a couple of these, and a couple other figures in the recent lines have come up with these. So it's really cool, I think, when they include this stuff. I myself do use them from time to time when setting up my different effects. And again, these are like soft, well, they're soft plastic on the edges, hard plastic towards here. But I think they're really well done. Now, onto this guy. Oh, you know what? One last thing. I did mention in the packaging, obviously, but inside of the box, you do get this awesome background of the shuttle. This is when they were escaping from the Decepticons, when they came back, I guess, to finish the job. They left in 2 shuttles. So you guys can see there the background here. It's pretty big. I myself, I think, will be keeping this one and perhaps using it as a background. But just put him on front here so you guys can see. I probably won't use this to display Ultra Magnus, but I may use it for some other purpose for my deluxe figures. But really cool. As I said, I will be keeping this. And you see the arc, I guess. Well, not so much the arc, but a shuttle. And there's another one up here. But there you go. Really cool. Now, on to the main course here. Of course, is this big boy here, Ultra Magnus. Again, this is based on the cartoon, I guess mainly the Studio Series 8060 1986 movie. And I would say it's pretty much that toy. It's that figure. If you have the, again, as I said earlier, the Masterpiece figure, this is pretty much similar to that, just slightly smaller. No die cast. I believe the Masterpiece figure had some die cast on it. So it's pretty much that. I would say this is better than the Kingdom and Earthrise, but that's depending on what your aesthetic, what you're going for, right? Certainly the Siege version was not necessarily the cartoon or G1 version, so, it looked different. And same thing with the Kingdom Ultra Magnus, which I also have. The transformation is more different. That one was a bit more of a part former. So this one's more cohesive, again, based pretty much on the cartoon, on the G1, on the movie. So if that's your thing, this will definitely fit the bill. For me, it's awesome. I think in looks alone, the way this guy's put together, again, as I said earlier, everything tabs in. The back, again, really clean. Everything kind of, it's a bit of a backpack, but it's just his body, right? It's his back. Same thing back here on the legs. It's like he's huge. He's a huge guy, but everything kind of just gets tabbed in pretty well. So yeah, the details are there. There's a head. There's a bit of a light piping. I don't know if you could see that when I put my finger on the back. There is some clear. So if you have some light set up in your display area, this guy will shine. The other cool thing, before we move into more details, is the fact that this guy has an opening chest to put in the matrix. So when you lift this middle part out, the cool thing, and I love this, I'm a sucker for little things like this, is you'll see there's 2 spring-loaded sections here. So when you open this, the sides automatically pop open. That's really cool, and you guys could see them here. And obviously to reveal the matrix that is given to him by Optimus or Well, Optimus drops it, Hot Rod picks it up and hands it to Ultra Magnus here. You can take this off. I had a bit of an issue with getting my big sausage fingers in there. So, but you can, trust me, if I can get this off for you guys on camera, but perhaps it's a good thing that you could see that I'm struggling. So, oh, there you go. So it takes, it doesn't take force. I think it's because the section is so small. If you have big hands or big fingers, you're going to have trouble getting in there. But again, another matrix, I think I've gotten these with Optimus, with Rodimus Prime at this point. I think I have 4 or 5 of these, not counting any, I think even Galvatron came, but not counting my Masterpiece figures. But yeah, standard matrix. And again, if it's in there, it's got some light blue in there. And you can put that back in there. So I actually really appreciated this spring-loaded section. That is really cool. And then to close, I just got to hold that in and boom. Other details, again, the head's really well done. In the box, these antennas come off, so they're not going to be on the head. So you have to put them on yourself. So that's another little 2 pieces. You need to make sure when you're opening your figure that they're not left in that little tissue paper thingy, so you don't lose them. Also, these, I guess rockets, we'll call them, right? These don't come, they come off, right? So in the packaging, at least for mine, these were separate pieces and these come off as well. So you can take them off. And, you know, it's cartoon style, but it's got enough detail there that I think it looks really cool. Same thing here. And you can pop these back in here. I believe the instructions tell you that obviously they go with these sections pointing up. I mean, it's your figure. You can put them whichever way you want. I prefer to put them that way myself. But man, again, being cartoon-based, I expected a bit more plain looking. But there are a lot of details there. I mean, you could see it on the chest, some line work, some sections there, tabs, everything does have some detail. There's the waist, the legs, again, going down here. And even looking back here where I kind of expected all like plain blue plastic, they added details there. So that's really, really cool. You guys can see it moving on to the back, same thing. You know, it's like line work, panel work. So it's made to look really cool. And I just love how clean the back just looks, right? Everything's kind of in place there. You can see the wheels from back here, but you know, nothing's like hanging out unobnoxious. So that's really cool. The arms, again, Autobot insignia here. So that's really cool. And there to show you some of the blue and white and red. The paint's really well done. No issues on my end. And this guy's hefty. He's not super heavy. Obviously, he's made out of plastic. But, I mean, in comparison to, the Kingdom Ultra Magnus or the Siege Ultra Magnus, this guy for me he's really cool. As far as articulation, he does have some very strong ratchets, particularly in the arms and the shoulders. But starting off here, the head, it can turn this way fully around. Just need to be really careful right here, but you can fully turn the head around. He can look up. He can't really look down. He can look down that much, but then he's looking at his chest. As I said, the arms here you can move. They're on a ratchet. What I would recommend with this guy is you don't try bending turning the arms from like down here or even up here. Make sure you grab them from this section here. So that way you're not forcing anything. As you could see, there are ratchets in there and they're very strong. So I would make sure you grab from here and not from any of the outside sections to avoid potentially any breakage. The hands do move out this way. Sorry, let's try to move back to give you a better look. Can't do that. Also, you got some, again, bit of ratcheting action there going on with shoulders. And if you notice, that's really cool. They gave you a bit of a clearance here so that when you fold the arms, you can at least get to that 90-degree point. So that's really cool, right? They could have just built this one plastic and then you're stuck like that. In this case, they gave you some clearance, so you do 90. The hands, again, just because of the way they're built, you can open this to get better access to them, but they do fully turn around. What's really cool is that you can, the fingers are articulated. The first three here is just one section, but if you fold that, he's got the pointy finger there because, of course, Ultra Magnus, just like Optimus and Rodimus, has to point at Decepticons or whoever. So that's really cool. So as you guys can see, I had to sort of open this to get my fat fingers in there, but you may not have to. But that's really cool. You can make a fist. Same thing on this side, right? The same articulation you get here. You get here, nothing's constricted or anything. The moving on down, you can turn this full 360, the waist. No ab crunch at all. Legs do move forward, and as you guys can see, this section you can move out of the way. It does get tabbed in there, but you know, he can kick up. He could do pretty much 90 here, right? He could do the one pose there with one leg up like that, kick. You can also, there's a section here. Normally this is tabbed in, but you can untab this and you can kick the leg all the way to the back, like he's about to kick a soccer ball or a football if you're everywhere else in the world. Let's see. Oh, ankle. You don't get a lot of ankle articulation, but what you do get is serviceable. So it is there. You can also turn the leg slightly. You guys hear the ratcheting action there, so that's really cool. It stays in place, which I love. Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out if I missed anything else. Articulation, I mean, the skirts, as you guys can see, they move out of the way completely. So if you needed to, you know, post this guy, you can't move them out of the way, except for these side ones. They kind of just, that's as far as they go. The other cool part, and this is kind of like where they went, at least to me, a bit above and beyond what they needed to do, was the fact that if you're familiar with the 86 movie, you know, at some point, spoiler, Ultra Magnus here gets blown to pieces. I believe at one point he was supposed to be drawn and quartered or something to that effect. But in the final movie that we got, he was blown to bits and into pieces. So to simulate that effect, what the folks here, Hasbro Takara, has given us is what looks like a combiner port. And you could see it. You can see that red piece. But essentially, you're going to try to push that red piece down and slide the leg out. I don't know if you guys can see it. Yep, there you go. Slides out. This is a combiner port from Combiner Wars. I think they might have also used something similar in the recent Menasor that came out a little while ago. But that's really cool that I need to do this, right? I mean, I get it. It's cool from a playability standpoint and it's nice. But to me, this wouldn't have prevented me, right? If they didn't have this feature, it would not have prevented me from not getting the figure. You can see some articulation there. So that's really cool. And if you wanted to, like I said, if you have anything that sort of has this same connector port, you can plug it into here. So, hey, that's the thing. They also did the same thing. Obviously, you can do the same thing on both legs. So this guy could just be a torso and four things. But you can also do the same thing here on the with the arms here, right? Same port as a leg. And essentially, you pull this in and you push it forward. Let me see if I could do this. Yep, there you go. So you guys can see poor Ultra Magnus is kind of standing there with one leg, missing one leg and one arm. But yeah, there you go. Here's the hand. And essentially this is meant to replicate that scene where he gets blown up and limbs are everywhere. And granted, I think he was missing a couple more pieces, but you can do the same thing here and the same thing here. And this guy could just lay there as a torso with legs and arms blown in. So I think that's really cool. I probably won't be using that feature all that much, if anything, other than, you know, during this video for you guys. But again, I think it's cool they went that extra mile, right? So really nice nonetheless. And, you know, to put this in, you kind of just slide it back in really carefully like that. That's in. Same thing here for this one. You're going to have to open this to make sure you have room to get that in there. And that's it. Yeah, so that's really nice that they included all that. As I say, you can hold his weapons. And I think from posing standpoint, for a guy this big, I'm going to say that he is pretty poseable. All right, so you could try putting this guy in different positions here, and he will look really nice nonetheless. Great figure again. This is my definitive version of Ultra Magnus, at least in the scale. I really do like it. I love it. So yeah, thumbs up to them for this. Oh, one thing, part of the transformation does allow you to remove the knee. There's a tabbed in section there. You can sort of untab it to give you a bit more range when you're posing this guy, but that may make the knees a little looser when you're trying to pose him. But nonetheless, great figure. I love the detailing. I love the color. I think they've done an awesome job, and then going the extra mile of having the removable limbs. It's pretty cool. I guess some hollowness here, but again, it doesn't bother me. This is such a great figure that, I mean, you're good. That's not a thing to be complaining about. And this guy is an absolute unit, guys. Absolute unit. Now, transformation. As I said, be sure you read through your instructions, because this guy can get a bit complicated in certain spaces, and I will try and do this as accurately as possible in this video. He does get a bit unwieldy, almost like an accordion type figure, but I will try and do this for you guys now. So first thing, make sure this guy's straight. We are going to move these rockets, put them off to the side for now, and then it start off here with these hands. You saw earlier when I was messing with the fizz here, this can open. Once you open this, it's on a hinge, you can then sort of swing this out like that. And then you can close this here. And then you're good, right? And you start looking a little funky weird with these long arms. So same thing here. You're going to open this, you're going to swing it out, and boom, you're going to get that in there. Now, I think just want to mention one thing that I did run into was that you have to make sure that you don't do this. I did that, and I was trying to figure out why it wouldn't close. Well, this white section here has to go under the blue, so it lets it in right there. And then you can close that, and then you'll see too that there is a tab. I don't know if you can see that. There's a tab here that goes into here, and that secures it in place on both sides. Now, other thing to do is you'll see here, there's these locks. I call them locks, but there's a tab, and just take that out, pull it out. That kind of holds this arm in place, and this is what I meant by accordion. This section so far is very reminiscent of the Masterpiece figure that came out years ago, but essentially these are tabbed in, and now that they're loose, you can pull them out. And essentially you can pull them all the way out. And this is what I meant again by accordion-like, because it's essentially an accordion. You're just pulling it out in pieces. So same thing here. Pull that out, pull that out, pull that out. You'll see it there. Pretty cool. So you'll look to something like this. A couple of things we could do here. Let's do the cab before we do anything else with the arms and the legs. So first thing to do here is to move this slightly back, just in case to give you a bit of clearance. And then you're going to pull this back section out, right? Once you do that, just be really careful. You want to make sure you have enough clearance to clear the head through here, so you don't ruin his antennas or whatever it may be, because this is gonna come up essentially like this. Right? You'll see the wheels here. They were like that. We're gonna do that. Just do that for now. All right? And then I want to see if I can give you guys a better look here. Okay. It gets a little unwieldy once you start getting this this guy all unfolded. This is the backpack now, and essentially these are the sides, and you're gonna start seeing here, this is the side of the truck, of the cab, but don't do it all the way. Just slightly start pulling these little things out. You'll see the front of here. Here's the front of the truck. You can then, there's a back section here. You can then pull this out. And again, just make sure you're not hitting anything there. And you'll see the wheels here. You can start pushing these out. They do lock into place. So once you're there, good. You can then take this front section and fold it all the way in. They'll go tabbed into here. You'll see a tab here and here. So you'll be right there. Same thing here. And you kind of have this cab section kind of already in there, right? Next thing to do here is you're going to make sure this head, I had a bit of an issue because it's supposed to stay out of the way and go completely underneath. So it is, I don't know if you guys could tell, but it's obviously there's a hinge there, and you got to move the ball joint so that his head's slightly back. And this section here will fold down like that for now, and we can sort of work on fixing that later. One aspect here is the fact that then now this whole front section here is gonna come up. You're going to slightly remove these side panels. You don't have to, but I do. The instructions don't tell you to remove these two sides actually. So what you could do here, and you guys could see here that the truck part kind of came out, and that's actually one aspect of it, of this figure that you can mess around with, is the cab part does come out of the truck. So if it does, like it did on mine, just push it in. So we're gonna then move this whole section up here. And this is going to be the roof at this point. Now, these two red sections that were holding the arms together, you have to make sure that they go in there. So, you know, just make sure they're all the way in like this, so that when you fold this in, you can then get these in there. Just move these slide panels out of the way. Right, so one thing to be careful is when you go to fold this, and this is one of the things that I run into, is like, hey, this is not going to go in. So make sure you move these out of the way, but also it's not just folding this down, it's folding this down like that so that it sits like that. And then these can go in, and then, I don't know if you guys can see that, you can get that in there, and everything sort of tabs in at that point. And you should be good. You guys can see, then here you can move these smokestacks, you can sort of slide them up. And you guys can see this bottom section is now sitting there. The head, as I said earlier, we'll play around with, but it's supposed to essentially sit somewhere like that. But we can mess with that towards the end. For now, we will leave that like that. Now that we sort of have this in place, that's one thing that I mentioned earlier, is this cap section can come out, but let's move the wheels out of the way. So you're essentially folding them down like that. Boom. In this section, that gives you a bit of a flexibility when it's down here to move the, you know, the cab part left and right. Usually you want this sort of like locked in place. You want it like that, right? So it doesn't move too much. The other aspect, as I said, it was trying to fix the head to make sure it's as flat as possible. So have it sitting like that. And you'll have this upper section just sitting there, so the head will just stay out of the way at that point. At this point, we're kind of like this. So I'm going to try and give you a better angle, because we're going to lay him down and work on the legs. All right, here we go. So this is where we're at. We're going to do the legs next. And essentially, you're going to take this sections, just going to start pulling from here. And you'll see these are on ratchets, which I love. Nice ratcheting. Same thing here. You're just going to take, you can take this whole section and hold the leg up here by the white, and boom, there you are. Another thing you need to do here is you can join the legs, but I want to show something that I ran into when I was transforming this guy once I got to this part. Once you get to something like this in the instructions do mention for you to fold the legs down, right? So I was doing this. I was folding the legs down, and then I was sort of trying to figure out, trying to follow the instructions, right? Because the instructions say sort of fold this down so that it looks like that. And then it says fold them back up. And I was like, okay, but that doesn't seem like it did anything. Now, the reason for wanting to do this is because there are these two pieces here that are going to reach up. Sorry, I'm trying to show you here. These sections are going to fold out and reach out and tab over here. But it had such a hard time trying to figure out, maybe it was me, you know, I'm a bit dense here, because I was like, well, what's the point of doing this and then just doing the same thing here? It does absolutely nothing. But the one thing this does is essentially you're supposed to fold them, but as I showed you earlier when I was talking about the articulation, you're actually supposed to pull them out slightly. You'll see there's a tab there, and you do the same thing here, right? You see the tab there, so you're supposed to slightly pull them out. Once you pull them out and you have them out like that, then you can bend the knee back, essentially, in. So just make sure they're like that. And you can then, and then you'll see that at this point, the knee is slightly closer. So now this will allow you to essentially reach up here and tap that in. You see that? You can tap that in. I was, you know, hitting my head against the wall trying to figure out why this wouldn't work, because I kept folding the legs back and forth, and I'm like, this is not going to reach. This is not going to reach, until I realized they want you to pull this out, as I said. And then once you have it all out, then you bend the knee back in. And then, as I said, that should shorten the leg so that then this panel can fit here. So we'll do that right now with this guy. You're gonna try and get this as flat as you can, and then just move the knee joint up. And then that should shorten it so that then when you move this section out of the way, the waist piece, this will fit right in. It'll tab right in, no problem. So learn from my mistake, and then you'll have a far easier time than me. This will fit right in, no problem. And as you guys can see, there's a tab, a red tab, to join the two legs together, and then you are good to go. And you should have something that looks like this. A couple of things here on the bottom is these wheels. There's a lot of, I guess, I'm going to call them double hinges that on this guy that you need to make use of, because similar to the knees, you pull these down, right? And then you have to, because right now in robot mode, these wheels are kind of here. They're not going to let you roll the way you have them. So you need to sort of push these down, essentially, so that they're out. Again, push that down, and then the wheels will roll freely in this case. So now you are kind of left with something like this. Now, this section here, the skirt, just make sure it's tabbed in place, and we'll move these out. And you guys can see here that this thing's coming together. So we're almost there, bear with me. As I said, this section here kind of, again, too, is in a bit of a double hinge. So this is not just a matter of folding this down. So you kind of have to fold that up and then also push it in slightly so that it slides up, right? Before you do that, make sure these are moved out of the way, and you're going to then take this section, this red section here, and you'll feel that it can rotate, and you can just gonna rotate it all the way up. And then you can then take this after you've sort of pushed that in, it'll sit flush right in like that. This is how that's supposed to be in there. Then you can put these back up, you can tab them in, Sorry, you can put these back up, these two sections here, and tab them back in. Now, almost there, guys. Now that we have the wheels out, you'll see this. There's these sections here that you have to, and you'll see it here too. You have to flip them out. So you flip these out and you slide them toward the front of the car. So make sure you do that because this will get tabbed into the arms and you'll see it in a second. So a couple of things to do here is here, this section here is all gonna swing out as you saw it earlier. I always had a bit of an issue trying to figure out which way this should go. So first thing is there's this section here where the missiles were sort of tabbed in. You can move that out of the way, and then you can easily, I don't know, this for some reason this helps me to move this out completely out of the way. Once you do that, you will see here there is, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a section here that if I take my my fingernail and I fold it down, it folds in. It's supposed to catch in, and then you do that. This section here folds. Actually, you're gonna fold it. It was like this, so you're good right there. So it should go like that. Now, because this is going to sit like that, you obviously need this to be straight up and down, and then this is gonna swing up back that way. And then, as I said earlier, when you're moving this whole limb, try not to, you know, bend. I would always grab it from here, just because I think that's the strongest point to avoid any kind of breakage, and always also hold here when you're folding that stuff. And then we do the same thing here, right? So a couple of things though, because you'll see the floppiness that you just saw there. Let's take this section out for now, and then that allows this to do that. We're gonna take this, make sure it folds flat, and then we're gonna, as I said, make sure that you hold it by here and that you turn this all the way around. Okay, almost there. We're gonna, again, same thing as the other side. There's a little thing here that I use my fingernail to push or pull, and it uses a bit of a cover. Here you'll notice a bit of floppiness here. Before locking anything into place, you'll see that there are sections here that you can, I'm gonna call them locks. I don't know if you saw that. So they sort of slide down, and there are sections here, and you can see it here too. There's a section there where it goes locked into place. So you do it on both sides, and that will hold the arms there. So almost there. The arms can join here, here. There's these tabs that go into here. There's a tab that goes into here, and then also these tabs here from the arms are going to go tabbed into this section of the legs that I mentioned to you earlier you need to slide in. So what you could do is you could do maybe one here, slide this all into place. Again, make sure that this all looks like that. And you can tab that in. Essentially, let's see if we could do this. Tab that in there. And then make sure these are both joint here and here. Now, one last thing to make this all a bit more stable before, you know, when you're joining these is there's a section here where you'll see, I'm going to take these apart just to show you guys. But I think you should do first before you do anything. You see this tab here? It's supposed to go into here. And this is where I start running into issues on my copy. I don't know if it's the same for yours, but I would be really careful. This tab here is supposed to go in this open section here so that it's more stable, right? So you'll see it come through, and you have to hear the click. Same thing on this side here. Make sure you hear a click, and it goes right in. Again, this helps with the stability. And then you can do this. Let's try to fix this in place. join everything up again. Boom. Join that here and here. And at that point, you're in a much better place, right? This feels more stable. Just make sure that these are all tabbed in place. And yeah, kind of almost there, guys. Thank you for hanging in there. Just make sure that's all straight. And as you can see, he rolls. The last couple of things that you could do is then take, your missile launchers, and you can attach them here and here if you want. Try to get that in there, and boom, there you are. Here is the vehicle mode. As you guys saw, it's a very involved transformation. It's very panel-y in certain aspects. A lot of double joints with the knees in certain sections, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was just complicated enough that I liked it. Other than the fact with the knees that did initially give me a bit of trouble, but other than that, he's really put well together. The last thing just to make sure is obviously I place a head like this. The instructions do tell you that it to sit in there as flush as it can. So that's how flush it sits on mine, and I don't have any issues. The head doesn't hit the underneath at all. It's not in the way by any means. But for all-in-one, like pretty much, there really isn't any part forming. You don't take this guy apart. He's not wearing armor. This is pretty impressive. Again, that we're getting figures like this. This is pretty much a masterpiece. To me, transformation. He rolls. You can fit your other deluxe cars in here as well. And I think, again, really, really well done. Some issues I do have in this mode. I wish these smokestacks were a little taller. I think they look fine. Just a tad more height would have been nice. And I did forget something, guys, so pardon me there. So the last thing that you should do here is, without breaking anything, is take these sections here and fold them out, and then they're gonna tap in. So essentially, here to here, you're gonna take that right there, and that kind of finishes off the side. So don't forget to do that. Fold that out, and again, just tap that in there. And there you go. Now you have a fully finished look. And here's the bottom. The head is kind of just there, but because it's facing the other way, not a problem for me. As you saw earlier when I was transforming this guy, this whole front section can come off. So you pull it out, and that when you pull it out, it gives you a bit of more articulation, right? So if you wanted this guy to make turns, you can do that. You can also completely remove this off the truck section or the car carrier section here, and you have just the cab, which feels pretty light and pretty hollow, and that's because it's just really the upper torso, and that's it. But just that truck mode alone, I think it looks pretty cool. I guess any other complaints that I did have, I think as I mentioned earlier, one thing that at least on my copy, that I noticed is when I was tabbing in these sections that are supposed to essentially hold this whole thing together. This side's fine, but I started to notice from transforming this guy a bit, and I don't know if you could tell here, I'm getting what looks like stress marks, if I'm seeing that correctly, or lighter. You guys could see there the plastic is lighter. So just be really careful with this guy when you're kind of tapping that in. Try not to force it too much. Make sure everything's lined up before you sort of tab that in there. But that's probably more me, that I need to be a bit more careful. But the other cool thing is, as I said, because you could put your cars here and your Autobot cars here, these ramp does open, so you can roll other Autobot cars in there, and they're ready to roll out. So that's really cool that you can do that, nonetheless. But overall, pretty happy with this mode, man. Like, this is really cool. I think for a figure, I know it's pricey, but I like it. I like this mode. I like the transformation again. It's involved, but I enjoyed it, and it's really cool. So I'm going to try to set this up to give you some comparisons in vehicle mode to the other Ultra Magnus figures that I have. Okay, so back here in vehicle mode, just wanted to do some comparisons to the other Ultra Magnus figures I have in my collection in vehicle mode. As you guys, as I said earlier, I really like this vehicle mode. I think it's pretty cool. So I just want to compare it to the other ones here, starting off with Earthrise Ultra Magnus. This is pretty much a retool of the Siege Ultra Magnus. I do not have Siege Ultra Magnus. When I learned that they were going to release, a Kingdom, not Earthrise, a Kingdom Ultra Magnus, I was like, I'll just wait for that one and get it. And this has been my definitive Ultra Magnus in that smaller scale. It's been mixed in with my Studio Series 86. But of course, with this guy being released, he is now taking that space. But I want to show them both here. I don't know if I can convey the size difference really well. But of course, here's an overhead shot. This guy is much longer, much, I guess, wider, more significant. You can also, I mean, you can fit vehicles up here if you wanted to, but not so much on the bottom because of the way, I mean, I guess you could squeeze some in there because of the transformation. But this guy, you can at least, you know, you have room for vehicles as you should. The other thing that I noted, at least immediately that sticks out, was the fact that this guy here obviously has ramps that you can open. These can't. And also, because of the way the mold works, the feet are kind of just stuck in this at an angle like that. So this one I definitely prefer. I do aesthetically tend to like the deeper blue on this one, but because this is more cartoon accurate, I'm going to say this one's slightly better. But the vehicle modes, at least to me, there's really no comparison here. I mean, the Studio Series 86 is more faithful. It's more impressive as far as the size, what they've been able to do with just being able to transform this guy. This was not a bad figure, but in order for you to get him into this mode, this is one of those, the cab was pretty much a smaller white Optimus that wore all these parts here as armor, right? Like his legs, his body here, and the arms and shoulder sections are all separate. So he's a parts former, essentially. You'll see it here on the bottom as well. Here's the top of the shoulder sections of Ultra Magnus that kind of just get tapped into the trailer here. Same thing here with, and you probably can't see it, but over here, these sections are part of the forearms that get tapped in to hold everything in place. I don't think it's a bad looking figure by any means, but obviously when I'm comparing them, this one definitely clearly comes out on top. There's just little things with this guy that I'm not too crazy about, like the hands just sort of hanging out back there. I do tend to prefer the color slightly on this one, but again, as I said, this is more cartoon accurate. So to me, this is the more superior one in my book. I also don't like that the smokestacks on this guy are kind of above the center of the cab, which again, I don't think it's accurate. So whereas this one, the smokestacks are on the side here where they should be. But overall, obviously, this is a much better figure. It is a newer figure. It is a more expensive figure. This is not a terrible figure by any means. And this is not meant to be a Studio Series figure. This is not meant to be a cartoon figure. This was more like I guess, a reimagining of Ultra Magnus, I guess, in that, you know, Siege, or in this case, Kingdom line, to try, at least in the Kingdom line, to try to give us a more of a Earth-based vehicle mode. But again, no question, this kind of comes up on top for me. So, other comparisons, and here is one that I had here. Here's the Fall of Cybertron Ultra Magnus. This is from the video games line that came out a while back. I really do hope they release this guy. Again, nothing to do with each other, right? This is a whole different figure, but if you want to see what a different version of Ultra Magnus sort of look like, this is at least the one that I have from the Fall of Cybertron video game. This is a really nice figure. I hope they release it much bigger and perhaps with a trailer. That would be really cool. But again, no comparison there. You kind of just want to show you guys sort of what that looked like together. And here, you know what? Here he is next to Optimus. I had Optimus here in his truck mode. And again, the cab mode, the cab here, he's much wider than Optimus. But I would say they're very similar in height. But Ultra Magnus, again, the cab's much wider. As I said, you can take this out if you wanted to. So you can pull this out of here. So if you wanted to just compare the cab to the cab, you could see it there. So I just wanted to show you guys that. So that's Optimus. So we'll try and put this back here and make sure we're all the way in. Yep, we're all the way in, and that's that. Now let's see if I can fit this other guy here in the camera view. But here he is next to Masterpiece Ultra Magnus here. Obviously, whole different price point. This figure does have some diecast to it, so it has some heft. It's really nice. I would say in my Masterpiece range, this is my definitive Ultra Magnus. But this guy is awesome, right? The Studio Series. This takes a lot of inspirations transformation wise from this. You guys could see it looks like a scaled down version of this. Obviously, there's little things like this guy has chrome applications right on the smokestacks and the gas tanks here, where this guy is just plain white plastic. But yeah, I mean, I think overall you'll see that these two look alike quite a lot. And this guy, as I said, has diecast, so he's a little heavier, not heavier, but a little less manageable to pick up with one hand. But you guys could see him there. Again, different sizes, but I just want to show you, you know, what you all get there. You guys could see that. These are very similar as far as the back pieces here. I mean, they look pretty much virtually the same at that point, just scaled down. Again, you can open the ramps on both, so you can fit your vehicles in there. But this clearly, again, the Studio Series figure clearly took a lot of inspiration from the Masterpiece piece back here. And you guys can see them again. There are little things that I do prefer in vehicle mode from this guy versus the Masterpiece figure. And actually, there's only one thing. Well, other than, you know, the fact that this is more affordable and you can find it now, is the fact that, and it's a little thing, it's these missiles actually do sit straight and out. And here, they're on a bit of a hinge, so they're at an angle, right? You have to angle them in so they can sit straight. Again, it's such a small thing that it's like nitpicking. But I do like the way they fit better on the Studio 86 figure. But just want to show them together so you could see sort of where the inspiration sort of, I think, at least as far as my point of view, where this guy is heavily inspired from this guy here. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it, guys, as far as the vehicle modes. Alrighty, so here we are heading back towards the end of the video. Overall, really happy with Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus here. Absolutely a unit of a figure. I would highly recommend it. For me, this is definitely going to be the definitive Ultra Magnus in my collection, taken over from the Kingdom Ultra Magnus that I have there. But there you go, you see him there holding his two guns. So to start us off with the comparison here, why not start off with the main figure here, which is the Masterpiece. Now, obviously these are two different scales. This figure was released a long time ago. It has diecast in its whole different price range. But just wanted to show them both there together. I think, to me, what sticks out is as I transform both of these is obviously it looks like they looked at this and said, how can we improve this? And you essentially got this. Obviously, this has some diecast, so I do prefer that in my masterpiece figures, but at this scale and in this price range, I do think that this guy here, for me, definitely takes a cake. There are a lot of things in this figure, or a couple of things that this figure does better than this one. So, for example, this guy has waist articulation, so you can essentially rotate him, left and right, whereas this guy doesn't. This figure, you'd have to take, his waist doesn't rotate. Also, the one thing that I definitely appreciate is back here on the back. As you can see, they both have a little bit of a backpack, but this guy does a much better job of sort of hiding that and making that feel more cohesive versus something like this where you kind of have the whole thing sticking sort of back there now. Don't get me wrong, I think this looks nice, as you could see there, the similarities, but this guy cleans up much, much better. The other thing that I do appreciate on the Studio Series figure here is the fact that the flap, this flap here, you can tab it into there and it's completely out of the way, and it doesn't sort of mess with the overall silhouette of the figure versus this thing. The normal position of this skirt, I guess we're gonna call it, is down like this. I don't like that. You can fold it up, but then you have this sort of thing kind of just hanging there. So definitely the Studio Series figures does that way better from that end. And there you can see the kind of skirt sort of just sort of hanging down. That's sort of how you place it, how they want you to. Also, there's the gun, right? This guy gets sort of like that same gun there, but overall just want to show them there so you could see the differences and more likely the similarities. But I actually do prefer this one. This is an awesome figure, but I think this one's, the articulation is there. The only thing this one's missing is like rubber wheels and some chrome and obviously die cast, but then that would put in a completely different price point, right? But nonetheless, there you go. There's the differences. Also, one last thing I want to mention, I showed you guys earlier the way this opens and sort of how it looks really cool. This kind of, at least I don't remember it being able to do that. So hey, kudos to this one here. But again, they took this, said, how can we make it better? At least in my book, and said, hey, we came up with that. So there's that. So we'll put that behemoth out of the way. Start us off with some bigger comparisons here as well. Staying with the big boys, here he is next to Jetfire from the Siege line. And again, I think that works out really well for me. So you guys can see him there next to a Siege figure with the Studio Series 86 figure. I think they, again, done a great job of mixing these different lines to make them look cohesive. So there he is. Next would be to another giant here in my collection. Here he is next to Menasor. And this is where I started to run issues with scale, I guess. I think is more of the fact that I think Menasor should be bigger. But then again, I don't know if we would have gotten a really expensive figure at that point. I really do think Menasor should be bigger than Jetfire. Maybe it's just me. And slightly bigger than Ultra Magnus here. But you guys could see him there standing, all three of them together. So we'll move him out of the way. Just trying to find space for all these guys. And hopefully they don't take a tumble. And we'll put him down. All right, so let's move on to, here you go. Here he is next to Kingdom Rodimus. And again, I think this actually works. I do think maybe Rodimus should be slightly taller. I know Ultra Magnus was always a much bigger figure, which is also like when I put him next to Optimus. Again, I do think that these two should be slightly taller, or maybe this guy should be a little smaller. And I'll show you because I think that this is one thing that the Siege and then the subsequent Kingdom Ultra Magnus does do a little better is the size. At least in my preference anyway. I think the size of this Ultra Magnus goes along well with this. Again, I know Ultra Magnus is much bigger guy, so that definitely, yeah, this guy works a little better in that instance. But again, this is just such a much better looking figure than this that I'm willing to put up with a little slight size difference there. So we'll remove Kingdom here. We'll remove Optimus, and here he is next to this is the Fall of Cybertron Ultra Magnus. There are obviously no comparison. Just thought I'd showed a different iteration there of Ultra Magnus from the Fall of Cybertron line. I really hope they, as I mentioned earlier, that they redo this figure and make him a little bigger. But this is a really nice figure nonetheless. Again, no comparison there. There's just a different scale. Here he is next to Springer from Siege. And here he is from another Studio Series figure. Here he is next to Blur. So really cool. Nonetheless, let's keep going with one more from that, I guess, my movie line. This is the Busworthy Bumblebee Cup, which came with a little more, I guess, animated decos or details there on the figure. But you guys can see them. I think all of those fit in really well. Why don't we add here Bumblebee, tiny little Bumblebee again. He makes Magnus look like a giant. So we'll move these out of the way. And here we are with Wreck-Gar. Again, just putting Wreck-Gar there because, as I mentioned earlier, him and his Junkions are the ones that sort of fix Ultra Magnus after he's blown to bits. But I think, again, that scale works, kind of works. I think this figure is just so well done that I'm willing to put up with the size difference there. Here he is next to, of course, what does he say? I think he says, I'm gonna gut Ultra Magnus or something to that effect. But there's Galvatron. Again, I think that works out well. Ultra Magnus is such a tank there. Here he is next to, we'll move him over here, a Sweep or Scourge. Again, this is, I think, from Kingdom. Yeah, it's from Kingdom because the Studio Series figure was a little brighter. I have a couple of these actually, but I think again that works. So we'll move him out of the picture here. Here he is next to Cyclonus. Again, much bigger than Cyclonus there. Still kind of works for me. There you go. We'll move Galvatron out of the way, and then one last one here is the this guy here, Blitzwing, which I'm drawing a blank right now. I don't think this was Studio Series, but I could be completely wrong. Too many toys, guys. Too many toys. But yeah, but there you go. That's how he looks like next to Blitzwing. But as I said, very happy with this figure. Hopefully you got something out of the video. If I missed anything or if you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave a comment. But as I said, this is a very solid figure. It's definitely an awesome Ultra Magnus. He fits in, I think, really well with any other figures that you may have, whether it's Siege or other Studio Series or Earthrise, as you guys can see there, right? Earthrise Optimus Prime. We got Siege. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now, but we got Rodimus Prime, we got Optimus Prime, we have Cup there, here he is next to Blur. So definitely this guy, I think, is definitely worth it. He fits in really well for me, I think, in your collection. Definitely would recommend it. Again, thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you next time.